Hello everyone, I welcome you all to Small Talk with the Etsy Collective, the final Creator Speak session of 2020. This is an initiative to bring you closer to the change makers, industry veterans, and Etsy sellers and give you an opportunity to listen to their thoughts, ideas, and find some inspiration that we all need. I'm very happy to share with you that Etsy Collective completed 2 years anniversary milestone recently. Thank you so much for coming along with us in this journey. Your love and enthusiasm is what keeps us going. Here's a short video to celebrate this milestone.
Hello everybody, we have completed 2 years of Etsy Collective. It has just been an incredible way for people to connect. Etsy's mission is keep commerce human, and I believe that Etsy Collective has been able to work towards that mission and serve that mission in a very effective manner. Here's to 2 years of Etsy Collective and many more to come. I believe that this is absolutely the best platform to keep commerce human in addition to being online on Etsy.com.
Congratulations Etsy on completing 2 years of the collective.
This is an amazing milestone. Kudos to you guys. Congratulations.
Has to be the first collective which we had in Bikaner House. I was invited to the event and I absolutely loved it.
I so vividly remember that when I walked into the room, there was so much energy, there was so much enthusiasm. That itself became such an amazing memory for me.
A DIY session at the end of the workshop, I think it's really a stress buster that you get involved, you learn, and you leave the session with a souvenir.
There's so much to learn from so many creative geniuses.
I'm sure it adds a lot of value and provides a lot of insight into the many facets of this industry.
Etsy India team really took on the challenge of making the lockdown successful and informative and educative for all their Etsy sellers.
The entire Etsy team, keep rocking, you guys are doing great.
And thank you for keeping commerce human.
Well, there are no doubts about it that everybody could spot some familiar faces in this video. So let me tell you a little bit about our team. First up, we have Sunanda Krishna. She is the PR and marketing lead for Etsy in India. Etsy Collective has been her passion project for the last 2 years and something she never gets tired of speaking about. She has been a constant support in making this event a success. We welcome you. We have Ria as a part of marketing team, and she's the behind the scenes star of this session, and she'll be answering you all in the chat box, followed by Anushka from the Etsy seller growth team, who will help in answering a lot of questions related to opening up an Etsy shop. And finally, we have Ishani from the community and the marketing team, and she will also be the co-host for this session. And finally, I'm Radhika Agrawal from the marketing team, and I'll be your co-host for this evening. And of course, we have 4 very special guests with us in this session. We welcome all of you. Abhishek and Madhulika from Avika Jewels on Etsy, a beautiful venture by Abhishek and Madhulika, and a bid to create exquisite pieces of jewelry. We welcome both of you, Abhishek and Madhulika. Then we have Kriti from Kari by Kriti. Kari by Kriti is a venture to create block print fabrics with a modern bohemian flair. We welcome you, Kriti. And then we have Devi from Paper Melon. She started Paper Melon as a wonderful ode to her love for paper craft. We welcome you, Devi. And Shirali from Small Idea could not join us for this session due to a family emergency, but we are very excited to have all of you in this session, and we're really looking forward to having you and talking a lot about your journey of 2020. So let's start a little bit with the agenda of this session. First, we'll talk a little bit about what Etsy is, who we are, and what we do, followed by a fireside conversation with our sellers, where they will share some very interesting bits from this year and best of 2020 and what they have learned, followed by a really fun quiz and for the audience as well. So make sure you can also type in your answers while we ask these questions. And last segment is the Q&A part, where you can ask anything related to setting up an Etsy shop or any questions for our sellers. So you can type them down and we will take up all of those questions in this segment. So Etsy is a global marketplace for unique and handcrafted products. We provide creative entrepreneurs a platform to showcase their work to people from more than 80 countries in the world. Currently, we have 3.1 million active sellers all over the world, selling more than 81 million products to over 60 million active buyers. In the time when automation is constantly increasing, our mission is to keep the human connection in the heart of commerce. That's why we've built a community that lives and thrives because it is empowered by people like yourselves. In 2019, Etsy became the first e-commerce platform to offset 100% of its carbon emissions from shipping. For every item shipped in our marketplace, Etsy automatically invests in an environmental project to offset this emission. It's not just us as a company who feel responsible to account for a carbon footprint. 90% of our buyers say that environmental sustainability is very important to them. There are three major categories of products that can be sold on Etsy. First one being the handmade category. Anything that you design or make comes under this category. And this is the biggest category of our sale. Vintage is the item which are at least 20 years old or older in its product age, and followed by craft supplies, anything that you use to make something new, for instance, fabric, gemstones, buttons, and this is the only category we allow bulk sales in. Lastly, a few trivia that I would like to share that Etsy is built to encourage entrepreneurship. You might find it interesting that 95% of our sellers work out of their homes. 53% of total sellers sold their first goods on Etsy. 83% of our sellers are also women, and 90% of sellers are businesses of one. There's a reason why entrepreneurs pick Etsy is because they believe that entrepreneurship begins with you. That's why we think that all the decisions that are regarding your shop should be made by you, starting from the price of the product you want to charge to the shop policies, shipments, returns, refunds. We have a lot of seller services tools which will help you start, manage, and scale your business. Our company was founded back in 2005 and our headquarters is in Brooklyn, New York. We came in India in 2018 in New Delhi. Since then, we've tried to engage with the creative community, and Etsy Collective as an event is a result of this objective. Our aim with the Etsy Collective is to build a community of artistic individuals who are curious about Etsy as a platform and want to explore it. Now we've completed more than 100 events with the Etsy Collective. And these are all the places that we've done our offline sessions in. And we want to show you a small video of the Etsy Collective to give you the glimpse of the experience that we have in store for you, hopefully not too far in the future.
I think Etsy was one of the first steps I took, which brought my passion out of just being a passion and into something which could give me, actual money. The ease with which anybody today can take any skill they have and monetize that and turn it into a brand, which is amazing. It means that anybody who has a skill can make it more than just a hobby.
We're not just about selling. Etsy is really about building a community of creative people. And what we've done in India is since last year is that we try through the Etsy Collective to meet with different creative people in different parts of the country. So far we've done about 32 collectives. Almost all the bigger cities we've covered, and now we aim to go to the smaller cities and interact with creative people.
It was great, quite informative. It was worth it. it's always good to be around Etsy people and the entire communities.
People are very welcoming, and this workshop, everything was good.
Like, always brings a smile on our face, which brings us to the next segment, and a very important segment where we have conversation with our Etsy sellers. So over to you, Sunanda ma'am, for this one.
Okay, thank you, Radhika. And actually, before I even get to the questions, I just wanted to add that I'm so glad that we could end the year with a conversation with all of you. You have been such an integral part of the Etsy collective right from the beginning. And it's because of people like you that we've been able to come so far, like 2 years and more than 100 sessions. I think we'll all agree that we've learned a lot about Etsy by just listening to you. So thank you so much. Of course, 2020 has been like a very difficult year in so many ways. And I'm grateful that we could connect even in this time. Now, before I get to the questions, and I really want to ask all of you how 2020 has been for you. But for the benefit of our audience, maybe it'll be great if you just tell us a little bit about how you started your journey as an Etsy seller and describe your products in a few words. So it'll be great if I could start with Abhishek and Madhulika.
So we together, I mean, I had quit my job, honestly, and we got married immediately. We decided to do something together. That was the gist of how we wanted to start. She was already doing jewelry and I had nothing to do. So I thought, let's just start something together. And that is how Abhika Jewels, came into play. It was not Abhishek and Madhulika which made Abhika. It was like being fearless, which is Abhika means fearless. And that is what our inspiration was for making the kind of jewelry we do.
Right.
And we make minimal yet striking jewelry. That's how we see it. And we focus on fine jewelry. We have ventured into fashion jewelry as well over the years. And we keep experimenting, and I hope to keep doing that in the future also.
Yeah, you should, Radhika, you should put their shop link. I love just browsing through their shop. Thank you so much. And Devi, if you could just also tell us a little bit about your shop as well.
Yeah, so after I completed my design education, I immediately started working for a corporate. And the kind of job I was doing there was exactly opposite to the kind of job that I would have loved to do after my design training. So it took me only 9 months to quit. And I was also there, no job, not much savings. So I had a lot of scraps of paper, leather, fabric, everything left from my education. So I just started experimenting, started making things with anything I could get hold of. And it's during this time that I happened to bump into Etsy. And so I thought, wow, a place to sell goods made by hand and people actually make a living out of it. That was an eye-opener. So I started listing whatever I could, and nothing happened for a few months. But one fine day, a customer bought some of my paper jewelry. So that I decided, so that was the moment which gave me the courage to go forward and explore more opportunities with my business.
That's absolutely amazing to hear. And now I'll just move on to Kriti as well.
So I have an education in textiles, and I worked for a buying house here in India. And then in 2013, my husband and I, we moved to Australia, and in Australia also I started a job. But what happened was that I had an accident and I had an injury, and you can imagine like 2 months of the lockdown. So that was my situation then. So, new in Australia, no friends really. Husband was going for his job. So I had really nothing to do. And that is when I really thought of, starting something of my own. I had a design background. I had a textiles background. And I started to create a blueprint of what I really wanted to do, come down to exactly what I wanted to do, what kind of techniques I wanted to use. And that was the time in Australia, Etsy was really coming up, so a lot of people I spoke to, a lot of people I got in touch with were selling on Etsy.
Right.
And then at the end of the year, we moved back. And that's when I listed just, I thought, okay, why not? So I opened my shop, and it took me almost 1 year to even list my first product, And then once I listed just 2 quilts, they were baby quilts. And like Devi, I waited for a couple months, nothing happened. But then someone came, bought a quilt, and then another quilt went away in like 15 days. And then I was like, okay, what do I do now, And then I spent another 6 months doing product development and all of that. And then very slowly it happened for me. Yeah. But I'm very happy to kind of, share that this year I'm almost touching 1,000 sales.
That's amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. In fact, Kriti was the first seller I had reached out to when I had joined. I was in March 2018. And we had this international showcase that we were working on. And she responded instantly. And since then, I think I have and it's been absolutely amazing. So thanks, Kriti. But Devi, I have another question for you. And this is that, we all know, and we've been saying that 2020 has been the year like no other. But what are some of the challenges that you faced? And how did you sort of overcome them?
In 2020?
Specifically, yes.
Yes. So I think most importantly, when we started, our lockdown had happened.
Yeah.
First of all, I think for a month or so, there was a huge drop in sales, of course. And even the sales that did come in, there was no way to ship them anyway because the post office was not functioning.
Yeah.
And I also had orders from the previous week, which was still waiting to be shipped and all that. So I think the biggest challenge was seeing your business somehow come to a standstill for some time at least.
Right.
And I think what helped me through was being able to communicate with the customers. I emailed each and every one of the customers who were kind enough to place an order during this time, even though my processing time was really long because I didn't know when I would be able to ship. So I reached out to every one of them, explained the situation, and most of the customers were willing to wait for as long as it takes for the shipping to restart. So I think that was very generous on their part. So, and I think also I was completely dependent on the post office. So I think it was during this time I started exploring more shipping options, seeing what are the different options out there and which ones have started operating. And so now I have reached a position, I think, where I can comfortably ship through one or the other somehow. I mean, I have different options in hand, basically. So that's a good thing which came out of it.
Yeah, agree. And Kriti, did you also have like a similar experience? And also, how are you communicating with customers during this time?
So just like Devi said, so, there was no logistics happening. So I think April, May, nothing was moving.
Yeah.
So that was the time when I had to really change my shipping timelines to as long as 4 or 5 weeks because we had no idea when, things would resume. So I individually had to mail every single customer, and every single one of them replied saying that it wasn't a problem, that I could ship whenever, it was feasible to ship. And I did not get a single cancellation also, so that was really amazing that Etsy always talks about this human connect. So I could actually feel it during this time that it was actually that human connect, that person who was buying also felt that, how can this one person be responsible for something that's not in their hands? So it was amazing, so a lot of them left amazing reviews for me, that even during the COVID times, I went out and messaged them, and I kept updating them. So I thought that it was really, I somehow feel that, that connect with your customers, you start to build it after a sale happened. It doesn't end there. And I could really experience that.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of other sellers have also told us that in this time, customers have been very patient as well.
Very generous, yeah.
Yeah, and they've sort of formed this bond with the creators as well. But Abhishek and Madhulika, or maybe I should just call you Abhika, I guess. But what were some of your learnings from this year? And because your category is also, I think, very niche. And did you get like some chance to think about trying something new, or how was this year for you?
So actually, we didn't do a lot in our product line, honestly, for us, because we did also get a lot of orders, but we were not able to ship those. And we actually had to cancel a few orders because we deal in a little higher price point. So we had cases that I've lost my job, so can you please cancel the order and all those things. And we had to oblige, of course. I mean, we didn't want, make our purchase a burden to them. So, so again, as Kriti said, it was a time to connect with the customers also, but we did a lot of custom orders during this time because everyone was at home. So it actually gave opportunity for customers also to reach out to us and, design something new or design something that they wanted, but, nobody was able to do it. So we actually did a lot of custom orders, I think, during those 2 months when we were not shipping. So we were just designing. And I think most of our time was taken up. And of course, we like every day calling up India Post, like, Devi said, even for us, India Post was most important. So just following up with them, when is it going to open? What will we do next? And all those things happen.
Even for our production also, I feel, because we couldn't make anything because all the where we make things, that area is like, again, I think everything was shut down. So that was also a challenge. We resumed making things only in June. So like March, April, May. And then like mid-June, we were able to actually get to production. So that was also a very big challenge. So we were like, let's just make it and then we'll figure out shipping. At least let, whoever is agreed, like whoever is okay with still receiving the orders, let's just make those pieces and then we'll see when India Post is kind to us.
Yeah, I remember those times when everybody was wondering and people were telling us that we're checking the India Post website also, but there is like no information on that. But yeah, I remember those times.
So actually the first parcel we shipped out, like the whole lot, like I think there were like 8-10 parcels. That whole lot was kind of lost
by India Post.
So yeah, so luckily all our products go with insurance. So like, I was like on their heads for like 2-3 months. I finally got a resolution from them after 4 months. June ke baad mein. And that was like because we had to refund the customers, or most of them said that we would prefer a refund instead of sending the product. A couple of them said that you can make it and ship it again. But yeah, that also happened. But things have now settled down.
Yeah, I guess now you would find like India Post is also like one of those people trust and.
Yeah. We trust India Post quite a lot.
Okay. But also, Devi, I was also very curious that did you also think of maybe thinking about expanding or creating a new line or trying something different in this time?
Yeah. For me, having a decor line had been in my mind for quite a long time, but it actually happened during the lockdown because there was a lot of time sometimes, Yeah. So yeah, that was good in a way. So finally it happened this year for me. So I think that was the biggest advancement I made in my business during the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think all of you, you know each other and like the products everybody makes, but do you have something that you like from each other's shops as well? Is like, Kriti, do you want?
Yeah. So from Abhika Jewels, I think I like everything, please. but the one thing I really love, and I think I've messaged Madhulika about it, is a sapphire ring, So it's a beautiful blue sapphire ring with paved diamonds on the sides. And I'm looking forward to gift it to myself. And from Devi's shop, there's this really nice wall art that you've done, Devi, recently, I think, with the rainbow beads. And I love everything color. So I was really eyeing that. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, I think I also saw that. Yeah, it's very pretty. Yeah.
I absolutely loved the Bacchus earrings.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, exactly. That I do. Okay, the ring.
No, the earrings, and then she has like a big pendant, a Bacchus pendant. And your cypress tree curtains are like have been on my mind since the day I saw that photo. I'm just
I
waiting.
have this right here, the cypress tree. I've done them in 3 colors now.
Yeah, I even messaged you about the same. So I'm just like waiting to get a place of my own so that I can, buy them and put them up. So yeah, I have my eyes on them. I'll just have it. That photo is so, you just want to sit there.
Thank you.
For me, Kriti, so I absolutely love the quilts. But then I saw this product video that you have uploaded for the curtains.
Yeah.
Repeatedly viewing it. It was so, soothing to just watch that curtain, Yeah, it's beautifully taken, I should say. And yeah, the curtain also looks very beautiful.
And they speak about the shibori curtains. Is that what? Yeah, okay.
The blue and white.
Yeah, the blue and white, yeah.
That's one.
So I sold almost like 300 of them this year,
Oh,
because Etsy was very kind enough to put them on a newsletter. And then after that, they just took off.
Oh, that's great.
And if you look at that video, you can not purchase it.
Thank you. That is so kind of you.
And Abhikas, I really loved a lot of yours, but then this one particular product is the multicolored sapphire earring.
Long one.
That seems to be the popular.
Your other products also, and I really loved it. Absolutely adorable it was.
Folks in this audience, we also have people who are trying to get on Etsy and they have some questions about that. So if you had to give some advice to them, what would it be? And maybe we'll start with Abhik again.
So our advice be honestly, be original. I always done a few sessions and I've always said be original. There is enough and more things that we can do. And second is think from the perspective of international buyers. And of course, there are products that have been made in India, but we need to think who are we serving to, honestly, when you're on Etsy or any other international platform for that matter. So these are the 2 things. I always advise and be relentless.
Yeah. What about you, Devi? What would you say?
One thing is, I would say, one of the questions we often get in the collectors is there are people who are multi-passionate and they want to start a business, but they don't know which to pick. So I always think it's a good idea to pick something that you really love doing and not just look at what could be the most profitable. Because if you don't really love what you're going to start, then it would probably wear out in some time, your passion for it. So that's, I think, very important while picking your business and also kind of defining your success. Success for one person may not be the success for other person. So I think it's also good to get your priorities right there. And one of the common mistakes that people do when they start out is they undervalue their work. I think it's very important to value your work, price it right, because it also kind of defines your audience. So there is no point in undervaluing your work now, having that kind of an audience, and then later look to higher price points only. I somehow feel it's good to start out with enough value for your work. Probably one must be patient. Please don't expect an overnight success when you are listing something in Etsy. Be patient, be consistent, and try to learn all the skills that you need for online selling. If a good photograph needs to be taken, please learn some photography. Learn to write something or basics of SEO, all these associated skills. I think it's good to have some, because there is always enough resources in the internet already. So it's quite useful to have some knowledge in all these areas. So I think that's it. But most of all, please do start, because that's where people always get stuck, that the starting point. Sometimes you kind of postpone it because you don't feel very confident about your work. You're not sure if it's going to be beneficial, but you never know until you start. So please start anyway, even if you're not ready, it's fine.
Yeah, I guess there's no perfect time. Jab ye sort ho jayega to start. I guess now is the right time to start. Thank you. And what about you, Kriti?
So for me, I think the most important ingredient, I would call it, in all of this is passion, right? So if you're passionate about your work, and like Abhishek said, originality, then you will really love if you really love to do something, if you really put your heart and soul into it, the sales will come, right? Someone will discover you and those things will come. So again, have patience and keep that passion alive, really. So, you should not feel, someone new should not feel that, oh, it's been 3 months, I've not had a single sale. It happens to each one of us. It happens to the best of the people. Yeah. But just to have that passion and the confidence that in your own product, that, that something that I've done is worth it, really. So, I really think that confidence, that passion and that energy really reflects in your shop.
Yeah, totally agree. Great words. Thank you, everybody. I'm actually inspired myself to now think about maybe having my own shop. Last question, but I just want, if you had to describe, I love doing this, I do this with my team also. If you had to describe 2020 in what would it be, and what do you want 2021 to be like for you? Devi, she's thinking, so I'm going with her.
One word is too less.
Yeah. Do you want me to answer?
Yes. Please.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, I know 2020 would have been a major lifestyle change for many of you out there. But for me, it wasn't actually, because I'm a homebody. So for me, I think the only difference was my husband and daughter were also home and I was not getting to work much. But other than that, on the business side, yes, it was bad. For some time at least, but I think it also made me understand the value of my work, because, for example, my husband has a pay cut in his job. Now, during this time, it could have been difficult for us if it was not for my work also. So I think I realized that I do have a channel which is not hugely impacted by everything that is happening around in the world. So that I find it, I'm really thankful for that, actually. Well,
thankful is the word for you, right?
Yeah. And I think, yes, I am kind of thankful for whatever we had to go through, because it kind of also made us understand the priorities in our life. So I also go to cook a lot more, garden a lot more. Yeah. So I think we learned a lot of new skills that way. So I think we made the best use of the year, though it was totally unexpected. In 2021, I do hope that things get back to normal, because I would love some alone time in my studio.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. That's beautifully summed up. But what about you, Kriti?
So for me, I think I would describe this year in one word as being different.
Yeah.
Sure. Not necessarily difficult for me personally, but it was different. And I do think that I was able to embrace that difference. And I was able to, give myself a chance to do things differently, like, cook, and clean and repeat. Yeah. So that was that. But then I also got a chance to, do a lot of these. So, I mean, the good thing was Zoom. So a lot of different things that I did a lot of workshops, and I learned video editing. I did some one-on-one coaching. I learned a lot from the Etsy U courses that a lot of these wonderful sellers like Abhika and, Small Ideas, even Kanupriya, all of them. So that was amazing. I think it was great that we could all get together and, do a Zoom call and get to know each other better. I don't think I've ever met Abhishek and Madhulika, but if it wasn't for this year, I would probably, we're all in different cities. So this was a great channel, really. And in 2021, I really hope to again, the things come back to normal. Of course, I want my son going back to school. I can't do homeschooling anymore. That is that. And business wise, I do want to expand some certain lines, you know. So I do want to move from home into loungewear and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Cheers to that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And Vika, back to you now.
Well, I think 2020 would, in one word, would be like reset.
Yeah.
It has, I think, reset everything. And it has been an year of learning, especially like all walks of life, emotional and, you know, your relationships and work and across everything. People have learned so much.
Right.
So I think a lot has come. I'm sure like a lot of people have suffered, but I think a lot of good has also come out in terms of just like, you know, humanity. When you use that word. So everything, people in general have become more humane, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what I feel when I talk to people, and everybody is more
receptive now.
Yeah.
Right.
And more what do you call it? Empathy has more empathetic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I overall feel that a lot of things have changed for the good, and I hope that this continues in 2021. Of course,
Absolutely.
I would, I don't know, like the new normal, like they say, the new normal should be there, but not like the exactly same normal that used to be before, because a lot of things were, I feel, wrong. So things have changed. So yeah, let's hope for the best in 2021.
Yeah, same here. And on that note, actually, I'll pass it on. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. We have another segment planned, which is a bit of a, you know, Radhika and the team.
Very excited.
And now the next segment is about, we'll be asking different questions about art forms of India. So if you know the answer, so you can raise your hand and say the answer of that question. And this is for the audience as well. In case you know the answer, you can type it down in the chat box and see who wins first. So the first question is, Madhubani, a style of folk paintings, which city is it most popular in?
No.
Where is it originated, Madhubani painting?
It's originated in Bihar.
Bihar, yes.
Madhubani itself.
City.
A lot of people in the audience also said it's Bihar, so correct answer. The next question is, Japanese art of paper folding is known as dash.
Origami.
Oh yes.
I had to put my hand up.
No problem. Great. I think the audience is super involved in this.
Yeah.
Then the next question is, Worli painting is indigenous to which state? I think Madhurika did it first.
Maharashtra, right?
Yes, correct. Next one being, dash painting is famous for the use of high quality gold foil along with semi-precious and precious stone. What is this form of painting? Kriti.
Tanjore.
Yes, correct. Amazing knowledge. Then, which city in India did Kohinoor diamond originate from? Kriti.
Hyderabad.
Yes, you had
Yes.
to. The next one is, where did Kalighat painting styles come from?
Kalighat.
Kalighat painting.
Calcutta.
Yes.
Let me watch with everything.
Amazing. Which state in India is the biggest producer of diamond?
I'm sitting in it.
Surat.
Which language does the word quilt come from?
I'll let others answer this one.
So you know this one?
The word quilt comes from.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing.
Make so many pretty ones.
You know it? Okay. Any guesses?
Audience guesses.
Even audience are not answering. Nobody knows.
Greek.
Quilt.
Every other
Latin.
word
Yes.
French, Greek or Latin.
Actually, you also said Latin?
No.
Okay.
Like wild guess, Greek or
Greek.
Latin.
thoda close tha.
Usually the words are from like Greek.
Fancy words are from there only.
Correct. So that's great, guys. So these were all the questions that we had for the segment. Thanks a lot. I think amazing knowledge of different art forms from you guys.
Yeah.
And we were so we were so hoping for this segment. Like we were so excited for this one. So I think the audience also really enjoyed this. So amazing. So Ishani, over to you for the audience questions.
Radhika, I'm actually still facing internet issues.
No problem.
Just for continuity, I think
Sure.
you can go ahead.
Okay, so now that we've warmed up the audience in the chat box, so audience, feel free to type down your questions for the Etsy team or our sellers who are present here. So now we'll take a couple of questions that people have been asking. So first question we have from Siddharth, who is saying, any preferred recommendations for shipping services which are good in India? So Abhishek and Madhulika, if you want to answer this one.
So I think it depends on the category. A lot of there now, as in you have DHL e-commerce, you have DHL Express, FedEx, UPS, and apart from that, the registered post and speed post from India post is there. So depends on your category, which category you're selling, and just like talk to each of these, and you'll find the best rates. And there are aggregators also like ShipRocket and Picker and ShipLite. These guys also help you. E-couriers is another one. So now there are a lot of options to ship, honestly, depending on your category and price point, just figure out what's best for you. And I think it's easily manageable now, at least.
I think I also want to add that depending on how many sales per month you have, if you're a new seller, I would, I always suggest India Post.
Yeah.
You know, if you're starting out, India Post, and then if you get once you start getting the orders on a regular basis and you can predict how many you're going to get in a month or something, then probably move to a FedEx or DHL. But India Post definitely, you know, if you're starting out.
And if you're starting out, aggregators is another way to go about.
Yeah, aggregators, exactly.
Give you a very good price, even for low, lesser number of shipments.
Yeah.
These are actually the two best options to start off with.
Okay. The next question we have is about how does one price the product, and what all should a person account for? So I think because all of you are from different product categories, so I will ask this question to everyone, starting from Devi. How do you price your products?
See, pricing, I don't think there can be a fixed formula that can apply to all. But then you definitely must consider the raw materials, the amount of work, the amount of time that, because for my work especially, that is one thing that I primarily take into account when I price something. I see how much time I need to spend on, because time is probably your most valuable resource. And so that is one thing that I add to my formula. And another thing is you must also see, keep a little extra for the overheads and make sure your fees, your conversion, everything gets covered in that. So you can probably find different advice on this in the internet itself. But finally, I think you have to arrive on an equation for yourself, because what works for one person may not work for another. But only thing is, please don't undervalue your work. And moreover, if you're also looking into wholesaling your products, make sure your products are priced for wholesale, because otherwise you would probably not make any profit out of doing that. So I think these are some points you can take into consideration.
Correct. Kriti and Abhika, anything that you want to add in to this pricing part?
So for me, I think the most important factor in my pricing is the labor, the stitching and stuff. And I make sure that I don't underpay them. So just to make sure that everyone who works for me, everyone who's even doing the smallest thing is paid fairly,
right.
So by undercutting someone who does the major work for you, I don't see growth. So just to consider those points, really, that that you're paying fairly, that you're buying from a fair, whatever your raw materials is, it's coming from a fair person or a fair price sort of a thing. And then, of course, profit is very important. So adding your profit margin, just undercutting, like Devi mentioned so many times, that something, I mean, if I think that, okay, I'm okay with 10% today, but maybe once I start getting sales, I'll make it 25% for myself. It never works. So you have to start by creating that formula, and yeah, that's, I think, once once you start to make something, and then you understand how much time it takes to make one thing, and then you can, create sort of a product wise, come to sort of the elements that go into making the product, then you'll be able to arrive at a cost, really. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Formula there.
Yes,
Sorry,
yeah.
just like adding one thing, just like, of course, have your formula there, but look at what other people are selling, stuff at also.
Yeah.
And don't compare India, just compare like worldwide what people are selling for, and like try and maximize your value, as simple as that. We don't go by saying, okay, let's just undercut everyone. It doesn't make sense. Like, be fair to yourself also, as simple as that.
Okay, yeah, actually that's a really good point.
I think we should also consider the returns and all those things. Not many, but whatever percentage of all your orders is there, just like account for them as well. Because for us, I think that is
the biggest cost.
Yeah.
Correct. Also, few people are asking in that how many listings should they start from? So anything that you guys started from a particular number of listing. Of course, you can start with n number of listings on Etsy, but how many listings did you start from?
I started with just 2 listings, and then and then my shop had nothing for almost 6 months, and then I had like 10. So there's really no, I don't think there's a figure, perfect figure really. So, but of course it looks nice that when someone comes to your shop, there are a lot of different things to choose from. So
yes, of course.
And more number of listings, more probability of them showing up in search.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a basic, there is no fixed number as such, but yeah, at least
I mean,
somebody coming to your shop should see variety.
Trying to get into as many categories as possible on Etsy, honestly, and see what clicked. I know what people are buying, and then try to expand in that particular category.
Exactly.
Bands, so to say, clicked for us. So we kept adding bands and bands and bands, and that's how we actually built our listing up. Yeah, I think started with 20 or 30 odd listings at the start.
Also, I think if you're starting, then it may be good to list whatever you have anyway, and then probably the key is in consistently adding products.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting for a huge collection for your big launch. I think that works.
True.
Yeah.
So now I will move on to a couple of questions for Anushka here. So people are asking the steps to open an Etsy shop. So can you just walk us through that?
Yeah, sure. So starting up a shop on Etsy is a very simple process. Etsy is very user-friendly platform. You need to follow a simple 5-step process for opening a shop on Etsy. So first of all, you need to go to a browser. Any browser will work. After going to the browser, you need to go to Etsy.com, Etsy website. After coming on a website, you'll find sign in option on the right hand side top. You need to click on sign in, do the registration with your email ID. After you are done with the registration, the first step which you will see in front of your screen is shop preferences. There you need to choose your preferred language, country and currency. And then you need to click on save and continue. After that, you will find the second step, which is name your shop. So in this, you have to name your shop, like by which name you want to start your business. And the third step is stock your shop. So you need to list one product for setting up a shop on Etsy. So you need to have a picture and you need to fill a few details, which is editable later on, so that you can change if you want to change later on. Then the second last step is, which is the fourth step, is how you will get paid. So for setting up a shop on Etsy, for receiving payments, you need to have a business PayPal account. So you need to mention the email address of your business PayPal. over there in the 4th step. And the last step is set up billing. So you need to fill your card details over there. By this card, you are going to pay to Etsy in future. That is also editable. And if you want to change your card, you can change it. Once all the 5 steps are done, you will find open your shop highlighted below. So you need to click on that and you will be live on Etsy. After going live on Etsy, you have a seller dashboard from where you can list your product. And still after doing all these steps, or before even started your shop on Etsy, if you need any assistance, we have a team who are helping the sellers on a regular basis. So they'll assist you with proper shop opening process, and at the same time they'll help you with the seller dashboard, how to list new products, how to decorate your shop, and making you comfortable with the platform so that you can work smoothly in future. So you'll find a link in the chat box to fill a form, and the concerned person will get in touch with you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Anushka. Another question we have from Ruchi Pathak, that she's asking whether one can do additional ads of their listings or their shop on Etsy to be featured. So can you tell us a little about Etsy ads?
Okay, so Etsy ads is a campaign which is run by Etsy. It depends on cost per click basis. So you can set your own budget. It is flexible for the sellers to set their own budget depending on their capacity to spend on advertisements. So you can choose a per day budget, which is minimum $1 per day, maximum $50 per day. Depending on the capacity of the seller, they can choose a budget. After the budget is done, you can choose your own listings also, that which listing you want to promote during that time. And Etsy ads will promote your stuff on the basis of demand and supply. So they'll promote the stuff in the area where the demand of the product is more high. So you can there are many people who are doing Etsy ads strategically, like they are first, instead of running in their whole shop, because they have low budget at the very starting, so they choose a low budget, and then they decide few listings which they want to check that how they are performing when they are on advertisements. So yeah, you can try different strategy with Etsy ads, but yeah, Etsy ads will work on cost per click basis, and at the same time you can target a particular season also. Like you can, if you don't want to run it for the whole month or for the whole week, you can try it on weekends. So that as you know that weekends and during weekends they have holidays, so they can more like they are more likely to browse the shopping websites during that time. And if you think that there is a kind of like, for example, right now it's a holiday season, Christmas and New Year, so you can run advertisement during that time also. So it's not required to run advertisement every day or every month. You can choose a time period when it will be more beneficial for you, and similarly you can try different strategies for it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Anushka. Now that we're closer to the end of the session, there's the final question that I want to ask all the sellers, that we usually ask everybody, is that what is the most exciting place that you've sold your Etsy products, and where have you gotten an order from that you didn't even know that this place existed? Starting from Kriti.
French Polynesia. I can't even pronounce it.
Polynesia.
Yeah, French Polynesia.
French, okay.
Yeah.
Is it near France?
So it's no, it's not near France, but I think it's a part of France. So they are Pacific Islands, which are close to Australia or somewhere in the middle. I have no idea, and I shipped it through India Post, and India Post actually delivered right till the destination. Yeah.
Amazing. And what did you sell them?
There were 2 quilts I sent there. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Devi, where did you sell your products in like exciting place?
Yeah, well, I think it was Egypt. I don't know, for some reason I've always been fascinated with Egypt ever since I was a child, the Egyptian civilization and pyramids and all, So somehow the fact that my jewelry going to Egypt was giving me some kind of a high, I don't know.
Yeah, I think your products will really I think has an edge of Egyptian vibe as well, a few of them, like the color combinations and all of them. So I think that really resonated with them. Ambika, where did you sell?
We did this exercise actually this month only. So we have till now shipped to 52 countries. through Etsy. And the odd ones were actually...
One was Bosnia and Herzegovina. And there is another one that I don't remember.
There are like a lot of those which we have.
We recently got one from Latvia. And
we are shipping something to Russia.
Russia,
like tomorrow, on Monday. So let's see how that goes.
It's very exciting when you get like a new country.
I know.
This month.
Yeah.
I sent one to Malta recently.
Yeah.
Amazing. I just somehow you are kind of connected with the whole world, even though we're not getting to travel.
Yeah, it's exciting to look at the map to even figure out where these countries are, you know.
It's very exciting. And then so for very unique countries, I, try and make a conversation with the buyer just to understand, like, but there was one, the name I'm forgetting was like a very extremely tiny island off the coast of US, I think. And it's just to think about, what do they do in that island? Like they're living there, they have been there for so long. And what is their life like? It's just like so intriguing. So I try and make conversation, and they're like very good to communicate from their side as well. So
and the fact that it's the most exciting, I'm sure it's for you, that the fact that they sitting in a very small island, they wanting your product, they liking your product, and buying from your shop is like an extreme level of excitement that it must give you.
And I think that can only happen on Etsy. I don't think it can happen anywhere else because it's so well connected throughout.
That's true. On that note, it's the clock has struck 5, so it's the end of our session. Thanks a lot, each and every one of you, for joining us for this session. I think this is the most exciting session that we've ever had on Small Talk. So thank you so much for joining in for today, and even the audience as well. Thank you so much for being part of the final session, Creator Speak session of 2020. In case you have any kind of follow-up questions for us that we missed out, you can mail us at tara@etsy.com, and our team will get back to you with the answers and personal assistance. Of course, thanks a lot our speakers, Abhishek, Madhulika, Kriti, Devi, for joining in from different parts of India and having a feeling of togetherness in this session and letting our audience know about your journey of 2020. Finally, I would like to say that the effort of this series was to keep in touch with the creative community of India, and we're so thankful that all of you could be part of this initiative. And it's always our pleasure to keep bringing creative minds in this session and help you learn from the experience. So I hope that each and every person who came in the session, the audience, learned something from our amazing sellers, and they can take that step of starting their own entrepreneurial journey, listening to their stories. So keep an eye on our social media handles to be updated about more sessions in 2021. And until we meet again, a very happy holiday season to everyone. And we hope to see each and every one of you very soon. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.